want people to see the wrongs that these coaches did. If I can't get the video, I want people to know, and I want the coaches to be held accountable for everything they did in that situation.
All right. So we've got Jayda Redden on ZenGame.
Yes.
Welcome. Tell me more about your cheer journey and, how you got into it.
I started cheering, I think at like age 3 or something. And I was on like a little mini team, and my dad coached me. And when they sold their gym, I went to Stingrays, and I was on their world's teams of Peach, Steel, and Electric. And I've just been cheering ever since. And then I tried out for college, and that didn't go so well. So now I'm in Miami on Top Gun AA.
When did you start having thoughts about wanting to actually cheer at a collegiate level?
Ever since I was young. I knew that like after my senior year of high school, college cheer and all-star cheer is so different. But I know that like after my senior year of high school, I didn't want to stay an all-star. I wanted to do something different. So I started looking at the top colleges for cheer and ended up going to one of the best, in which I thought.
For you individually, though, like, what does cheerleading mean for you? Like, even if you were to take your parents out of the picture.
Everything. I honestly, I don't know what I would have done or who I would have become without cheerleading. It's brought me so many opportunities, and it's brought me closer with people and given me connections that I would not have had without. It's taken up my whole life. I mean, I've been at practices every single night. I've given up vacations, hanging out with friends. I've given up so much to cheer, but I don't regret any of it.
And what was your favorite memory while being at Steel?
There's been so many times from practices that one of my Steel coaches one night filled up my oil for me. Like, he stepped in and filled up my oil for me because I had to leave practice. It is very family oriented because you spend every moment with those people, and they see your best sides of you, they see your worst sides of you.
So when you go to other programs, you almost expect the same thing.
Absolutely.
And okay, so now you've been cheering your whole life since you were 4, and you started on a world's team at 13 years old. And when did you have the vision of cheering at UCF?
When I was on Steel, one of my close friends, Jarek, he started going to clinics down at UCF. And I was in 8th grade, a freshman at the time. I wasn't really looking at colleges yet, but I started going with him to these clinics. And I fell in love with the people there. And I loved stunning down there. Like, I loved just getting to be in the eyes of those kind of people. And then for years after that, I attended many UCF clinics. Ultimately, at the end of my senior year, I committed to going there. And I tried out in May of 24, and I made the team.
Why UCF?
I knew a lot of people there. I had cheered with some of the people that were there. It's like one of those things, like when you know kind of thing. And like, every visit I took there, I was like, yeah, this feels right. And nothing else was comparing to that.
How did you feel internally when you finally had that vision come into fruition?
I was excited. The stress was over of like, oh God, what college do I go to? The stress was definitely over when I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. And I was super excited. I was looking at apartments with a teammate down there.
And also take me through, I know that you would go to UCF clinics yourself. Mm-hmm. When Coach Ashley Draper was able to pull you out and notice you. Take me through that day.
It was cool. It was one of the athletes there that I was stunning with. She would come over and she would watch us stunt, and she would sit there and she would ask me, what kind of tumbling I had. And that was like really the first interaction I had with her. She asked me what kind of tumbling I had. She asked me how old I was. She asked me if I was interested in coming to UCF. And when she asked me that, I was like, oh my gosh, the coach of UCF is asking me. And I was very interested in going to the school. So it was a super cool feeling at 14 to be noticed by the UCF cheer coach.
14 years old, you were noticed from UCF cheer. They were recruiting you since you were 14 years old.
I was in contact with them for 3 to 4 years before I committed to going there.
So this was a build-up and anticipation to be a UCF cheerleader.
Yes.
Wow.
I think at age 15, I did a standing foal on the UCF field. I've always wanted to go there. And so it was a very big build-up.
It felt like a dream come true.
It did. Then that dream was shattered.
What you knew of cheerleading,
Mm-hmm.
the family, the warmth. How did UCF approach that same type of dynamic throughout tryouts and the way that they were recruiting you?
The recruitment process, they were very welcoming and very excited to have me there. When I got to tryouts, that's when everything kind of shifted and I felt the mood change. I remember one of the days of tryouts, Linda Gooch pulled me aside along with 2 or 3 other athletes that had come from the All-Star world. And she sat us down and she had asked if we were on big teams. And she had already known that answer. And we were like, yeah, we were. She had asked if we had been asked for photos before, asked to take autographs, or if lines had formed for us at competitions. And all of us responded with yes. And she had basically told us, well, that does not matter here. You are a nobody here. It restarts. None of that matters. You need to let the All-Star world go. That's out of this picture. And all of us were kind of sitting there like, okay. We weren't coming in here thinking we were the best because we came from big All-Star teams. So when she kind of sat us down and was like, you're a nobody here, just and don't think you are just because you came from a big team, it was kind of like a slap in the face. We were like, okay, well, it's not what we thought, but thanks for letting us know.
How did you feel when Linda Gooch said this to you?
She didn't really give us much to say after that. She was like, okay, you can go back to stunning. We were like, okay. And I just remember walking back and my whole mood had changed. It's like, that was weird. Why would a coach say that to me? I had never done college cheer. I know college cheer was different than All-Star. So I was very open to being coachable, changing my ways, changing things, because I know it's not the same. So when I was pushing everything to the side, trying to make sure that I was a coachable person, and then she came up and she told us that, I was like, oh, okay, thanks, trying.
It didn't really feel like family.
No. Like
what you were used to.
No. And from that moment, I'm not going to blame the teammates for this. I'm going to blame the coaching staff it was very veteran versus newbie there. It was very much like, well, I'm a veteran, you have to listen to me. I'm a veteran, I'm going first. Or if they didn't want to do something, it was, you're a newbie, you're going first. So it was, you could definitely tell who was new there and who was a returner because they made sure that there was a very fine line between that.
So did you feel like it was more of a team, or do you feel like it was more like you were all competing against each other?
Definitely we were competing against each other. And it was very much like, oh, well, she's doing that. And then they would look at you and be like, okay, now you try that. She's not as good as the other one. Switch her back. And it's I understand everybody has their own role on a team. I mean, did All-Star, it was the same thing. But the way they handled it and the way that they almost made you feel because you weren't doing it right, it felt like you were competing against each other.
What was the difference between what you knew of cheerleading and what you were experiencing?
It felt like I was just a number on the roster. I wasn't a cheerleader there. It literally felt like I was just a number on the roster. Somebody that they were just using to plug in here. It wasn't like oh, this is my athlete that I coach, I'm going to take care of her. It was, okay, she's our number 8 girl for the 24-25 season.
So it was different.
It was very different.
So now take me through the stunts and then baskets. We'll
okay.
go into baskets.
So the stunts are very just one guy underneath you. They will toss you straight up and down, or you can spin, or you can rewind, which is just the backflip up on top of the guy. The pyramids are where you have more people underneath you and it's stacked 3 people high. You can flip up on top of the girl who is being held by the guy underneath. And then the baskets are you have 3 to 4 people underneath you and they launch you.
Take me through now college baskets and the difference between college baskets and then what you knew as basket tosses and what you were taught and the differences.
So All-Star, we are not allowed to go upside down in baskets. It is either a kick and you spin twice, that's for Worlds, or you can do 2 kicks and spin, or you can just ball your knees in. You just were not allowed to go inverted. For college baskets, you can kick and then do a backflip and then spin, or you can just do 1 flip in college baskets, you can go inverted. Baskets in college were going to be very new to me, but I had done them many times before. So it wasn't something I had ever not done. And baskets in All-Star were like my strong point. I loved baskets. I would say that I was pretty good at baskets. I was always like center point basket flyer in all my routines. Yeah, being able to go to college cheer and do the inverted baskets, I was super excited because I love them.
And what was the difference of technique that UCF was teaching you versus what you knew?
In baskets, the day we did baskets, the day of the accident, we were not taught anything. I knew how to basket because I had done them many times. I'm pretty sure I had 2 newbies under me that had never thrown a basket, and so they didn't know what to do. So there was no instruction of this is how you throw a basket, this is how you catch a basket. And for cheerleaders, it's common sense, like this is how you're going to throw, this is how you're going to catch. But for people that have never cheered or people that have only ever tumbled, I mean, they don't know. Even though it's common sense to us, they don't know. And so it was kind of just like throwing somebody random in and going, hey, throw this basket. They didn't know what to do.
So did you have people on the team that had never cheered before?
Yeah. So I believe the base that I had, I don't think he had ever cheered before, or maybe he had done All-Star. He could tumble. I think it was more of like he taught himself how to tumble. I'm not sure his whole backstory. I met him like that day. But there were a few people that had never done like All-Star high school cheer before getting there.
Wow. So it was like some were on the team that have just never really cheered before.
Some just walked in.
They just walked in onto a high level UCF collegiate level.
Because they could flip.
Okay. Yeah. So now take me through your practice, your experience of basket toss.
Okay.
Your group, what you had, and everything.
It was June 20th. It was the first day of baskets. Or first day of practice, like first real practice other than tryouts. Yeah.
Super exciting day.
Super exciting. That drive down there was crazy. I drove by myself. I was staying in a hotel room with one of the new freshmen also on the team. And it was just her and I that were in that room together for that week of practices. So that was on the 19th that I drove down. On the 20th, we were just stunning around, tumbling like it was like a normal cheer practice. The vibes were definitely weird just because of the coaches, honestly. I did feel very like pushed to the side because it was rookie and veteran.
Yeah, what type of dynamic do you think the coaches kind of set for the atmosphere?
The words rookie and veteran came out of their mouths so many times. Like, hey, my veterans come here. Hey, veterans come here. And so then all of us are sitting there like, so are we on this team? Are we not? Like, there was a wall between us for sure. It was June 20th, and we had done stunts. We had tumbled, and then they were like, "Okay, we're gonna move on to baskets." And then they like put us with different groups. There was about I think 2 flyers switching in and out of each group. The girl that I was switching in and out with is actually the girl that I stayed in a room with.
Oh.
And so she was like, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? And I love baskets. So I was like, I'll go first. And then I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember stepping into the basket. All of that for the next 4 hours is just gone. She had basically, the girl next to me was like, yeah, you got it. And I was like, okay. That's all I remember.
Wow. Wait, so let's rewind for a second. Just to walk through this, who was your basket group? You don't have to say names, but just like their cheer experience and background.
So my basket group that I was put in, the main base was a guy that had never cheered. He is the guy that's on the right side of me. He had never cheered, he'd never thrown a basket. He was just there because he tumbled. The guy on the left side of me, the side base, he had cheered. I think he was a returner. The back spot was a returner. I think he was on his 3rd year. So he had thrown baskets many times before. And then the front spot was Coach Mitterson, a coach at UCF. And so going back to like the incident, they had thrown me in the air. And from what I've been told, is the side base, or the main base, the right base, and the back spot stepped out. So the coach caught my feet, and so my head went back, and I hit like the back right side of my head. And all of this information that I'm getting is from the trainer, Patrick O'Donnell. He literally was the only person in that situation to do any sort of right. All of this is coming from him, and he did everything in his power to help me. So the story that I'm telling now is from him because I don't know what happened. But I was thrown in the air. The right base and the back spot, I guess, had stepped out. So I landed on the back right side of my head. And when I hit, apparently it was like immediately I was out. The bases tried to pick me up by my hands. And then I guess they just set me back down because they realized I was out.
Unconscious.
And then when I laid back on the ground, I hit fencing posture, which is where like my arms stiffened out and like my legs and like my hands started to crawl.
But you were unconscious.
I was unconscious. Apparently that is what happens when people get paralyzed or like some kind of brain injury. So when that happened, the trainer was like, okay, call the paramedics. She's either paralyzed or has a major brain injury. Like someone needs to get paramedics on the phone ASAP. I guess in that time being, they had rolled me to my side just in case I was having a seizure or something. They had rolled me to my side. They had taken all the cheerleaders out of the room. So I was the only one in the venue at the time. It was me, the coaches, the trainer. And then I woke up and I remember like looking up and seeing the paramedics above me. Keep in mind the paramedics have to be called, have to drive there, have to get out of the car, have to go in there. It takes a good amount of time.
So basically you only remember your teammate asking if you want to go first, you go in, and then you don't remember anything, and now your eyes are open and you're looking at the paramedics.
Yes, and my eyes are open, I'm looking at the paramedics. I cannot remember what I said or what was said. That's just a vision in my head that I can see, if that makes sense. And then I guess when I woke up, I had sat up and they were like, okay, she's not paralyzed. So I had sat up and I was like, where's Riley? And Riley is the girl that I was staying with at the time. She was like my closest friend on the team at the time. So when I sat up, I was like, where's Riley? So they called Riley into the room. They were asking me questions like, what's your name? I knew my name. They asked me what my birthday was. I did not know my birthday. They asked me what kind of car I drove. I didn't know. They asked me if I had flown down to practice or if I drove my car down to practice. And the trainer said that I sat there and I was like, I don't know. And I stood up and I said, I want to call my parents. So I don't know who got my phone. I don't know if someone picked it up for me. I don't know how I got it. But I called my mom like 2 or 3 times and she didn't answer. So then I called my dad. He was like, what happened? I was like, I don't know. And he was like, well, who are you around? And so I was like, I'm with Riley, the trainer, the coaches. And he said, hand the phone to the coaches.
What coaches were you with? It
was Ashley Draper, Brian, and Coach Pedersen.
Okay.
Linda was not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to remember that Linda was not in the room. And so my dad was speaking to the coaches and he was like, so what happened? And they were like, oh, she just hit her head. She's okay. And my dad said that he remembers talking to the coaches asking like, are your kids in the background? Because Ashley Draper's 2 toddlers were running around on scooters around me when this happened, which is complete liability. And so I guess my dad finally was talking to the trainer at some point. I'm not sure. So I'm sitting there talking to the paramedics, talking to the trainer, and they're like, do you want to go in the hospital? You want to go in the ambulance to the hospital? And at that point, I'm like, I don't know where I am. No, I don't want to.
And keep in mind, like, your dad wanted to talk to the coaches because at this point, it's not just parent to coach. It's coach to coach.
Yeah, it is.
Your dad knows.
Cheer.
Right.
So he's confused as to what's going on. And then when like the coaches and the paramedics ask me, hey, you want to go in an ambulance to a hospital? I don't know where I am. I don't know who you guys are in this moment. Like, no, I don't know what happened. So I said no. So the paramedics handed me, I guess, I don't know if it was a clipboard or an iPad or what it was, and they said, sign this. And then in that moment, I'd be getting handed something in front of me, so I signed it.
Was it the UCF paramedics or was
it was the UCF paramedics?
Okay, so
yes.
this is the University of Central Florida's paramedics
yes.
asking you to sign something away when you are not in your own.
I didn't even know my birthday.
And you didn't even know your birthday.
Right.
And they're asking you to sign something.
Right.
You know. Okay.
So looking back, I guess that was a consent form to me saying, no, I don't want to go in the ambulance to the hospital.
And they didn't even ask your parents?
No.
If you should go to the hospital?
No. So looking back, I do guess that was the consent form. And then the trainer was like, okay, no, that's not going to happen. So he looked at me and he said, we're going to go for a car ride.
Were the coaches pressuring the paramedics to get you to not go to the hospital?
Mm-hmm. The coaches were like, no, she doesn't need to. She's fine. Jayda, you're good, right? She's good. She can stay here. You're good, right? And I was like, yeah, sure, I guess.
So the coaches that you were in the room with, those 3 coaches were advising for you not to go to seek emergency help when you couldn't remember your name, your birthday, whatever, all these things. And they were trying to work with the paramedics for you not to seek emergency help.
Correct.
And the trainer, Patrick, that works for UCF Athletics, saw this situation from a third perspective and said,
no. He looked at me, he goes, we're going to go for a car ride. And I said, okay. And he goes, do you want anybody else to come with you? And I said, I want Riley with me. So I get in the car. I call my mom again. She doesn't answer. When I called her that time in the car, she was on the phone with my dad. My dad, she was at Stingrays coaching at the time. My dad called the Stingrays front office and said, you need to get Mary Lynn on the phone right now. Mary Lynn is my mom. And so she got on the phone with my dad, and she was talking to my dad at the time when I called her. My dad had basically told my mom, listen, Jayda's going to call you. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know anything. Don't freak her out. My dad was basically just warning my mom, like, just keep her calm. And so I finally got on the phone with my mom when I was in the car on the way to the hospital, and Patrick, the trainer, was driving. And I finally got a hold of my mom, and I was like, I don't know what happened. In that moment, Patrick was nervous that I had a brain bleed because since I was not paralyzed and I still hit fencing posture, he thought that there was something else that had happened. So we get to the hospital, went straight back into a room. A nurse came in, she took like vitals, and then she was like, we're gonna go get a CT scan. I was like, okay. So I go and get a CT scan, and I remember she goes, do you know how to get back? Like, I remember bits and pieces of the hospital. She goes, do you remember how to get back to your room? And I was like, yeah, I think so. She just let me walk out of the CT room back to my hospital bed. Which, like, looking back, like, in that moment, I was like, yeah, okay, thanks, bye. But in that moment, like, what if I had fallen in the middle of the hospital?
Oh, my gosh.
So I got back to the room. My mom had texted Riley, and she was like, can you call me? Can you step out of the room for a second? Can you call me? So my mom is on the phone with Riley, and she was like, explain to me what happened from your point of view. She was like, Jayda was doing a basket. She got dropped. She went unconscious. We all stepped out of the room. She was like, when I walked past her, she was blue. She was like, her hands were in the air. She was blue. She was like, my mom was like, okay, so something's seriously wrong. And Riley had said, like, they had escorted all of us out of the venue. Later on, they had asked Riley to come back in because I was asking for her. So after my mom got a little bit more clarification from Riley, I had called my mom again, and I was like, hey, I'm at the hospital. She was like, I know. You just told me. I was like, I think I got dropped in a basket. And she was like, all right, well, it's going to be okay. And I was like, all right. And so we're sitting in the hospital bed waiting on, answers. And I call my mom again. Hey, I got dropped in a basket. She goes, all right, I'm flying down there. And I was like, no, you don't have to. I'm good. I can drive home. She was like, no, you can't. Mm-hmm. She was like, you're not driving home.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm going to fly down there. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then she calls me back. Like 10 minutes later, she goes, I booked my flight. I'll be there in 3 hours. I was like, oh, you're coming down? She goes,
just kept forgetting.
Yeah.
I just kept forgetting every phone call, basically.
Everything.
This was all on the University of Central Florida's property.
Yes.
Everything. The EMTs, the hospital,
The hospital was not on the property. It was the UCF hospital. But I think I remember like a good 10, 15-minute drive to the hospital.
Okay.
But it was the UCF hospital. And then, so he was like, yeah, you're good to go. I was like, okay, cool. So we get in the car. The trainer drops me off at my car that I had parked at wherever we had practiced that day, the venue at UCF. He dropped me off in the parking garage at the venue, and he was like, Riley, you're going to drive her, right? And she was like, yes. And he was like, listen, if this happens, if she starts doing this, if this starts happening, you call me immediately. So the trainer was like, I have to go take care of some stuff. If you got her for a little bit.
So shout out to Patrick, because if it wasn't for your trainer being there, the coaching staff at UCF
would have let me drive home.
They would have let you drive home. They would have let you go home and come back to practice the next day.
Yep.
And if there was no one there like Patrick, who was actually professionally sound to know the signs of concussion and all of the dangers, you wouldn't have even sought immediate emergency help.
No.
So take me through that a little bit.
So then, like, after that, we got to my car, and Riley drove me and her back to the hotel room we were staying at. We got there. This is where I start to pick up on little pieces. I can, like, see us pulling up to my car. I remember, like, that little vision. Don't remember Riley driving. I don't remember walking into the hotel. I remember getting back into the hotel room. And I changed, I got in the shower, I got out, and I went to bed. And I fell asleep. And my mom had flown in that night. She came and woke me up when I got there. And she was sitting there talking to me. And I guess while I was asleep or getting back to the hotel, my mom had called Coach Linda. Or Coach Linda had called my mom. And this is like 2 hours after the accident. She had called my mom and goes, hey, just want to let you know Jayda had a little accident, but she's okay. She got checked out by our staff. Like, she's good. My mom was like, I already spoke to Jayda. She was like, she's not okay. I'm flying down there right now. Can you tell me what exactly happened? And she was like, oh, like, we were doing a basket. She was caught in the cradle. She rolled out and hit her head. She was only out for like 3 to 5 seconds, maybe. She's good. She got checked by her staff. And my dad's on the other side of the phone. And he goes, Coach Linda, I've been coaching cheerleading for 20 years. He goes, I have never had a kid roll out of a cradle, hit her head, and go unconscious. Because I've never had a kid roll out of a cradle. She's either caught or she's not. And my dad was like, so once again, what happened? And she was like, well, if you have more questions, feel free to contact me. My dad was like, were you even in the room when this all happened? She was like, no, I wasn't. I was up doing some paperwork. So Linda wasn't even in the venue when this happened. And she was the one that was calling my dad. Restating what happened. And so when my dad was like, so you weren't even in the room? She was like, no. So if you have any questions, let me know. Can't wait to see you at practice tomorrow. Bye. And hung up. So then that night, my parents right then and there kind of knew something was going on, and we were going to have to take some sort of legal action. Coach Ashley is calling me, texting me, can't wait to see you at practice tomorrow. Hope you're okay.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What? I'm sorry.
They were like, can't wait to see you tomorrow. See you at practice.
So you just went through this traumatic hospital visit, dropped on your head, couldn't even remember your name. Coach Linda's downplaying the entire thing to your parents, and you get a text from your coach saying, can't wait to see you at practice tomorrow.
Yep. And I still have everything. Like, I have all the screenshots, all the voicemails. I have everything. And I just remember my parents were like, don't answer it. They're like, don't say anything. Don't answer it. Leave it alone. And so my mom flew down that night. That next morning, we went and saw Patrick. And my mom and Patrick talked. I guess he was like doing like heat therapy on my neck because I had just like strained a muscle just from hitting the ground so hard that I had strained a muscle in my neck. So he was doing like the heat and just like applying pressure, all the things. So he was talking to my mom for a little bit. And then they were already at practice at the time. And so my mom was like, I'm going to drive her home today. And he was like, she needs to go home. He was like, usually when somebody has a concussion, I say like, you need to, get a little stimulated, be around some kind of thing. Just don't do an activity. Just like be surrounded by light, be surrounded just to stimulate your brain. He was like, she needs to go home. he was like, she needs to go and she needs to sit in a dark room because they did all the concussion tests on me. And obviously I failed all of those.
You have a high tolerance for pain.
Right.
Because you want to get right back into it.
Exactly.
It's not like you want to be injured.
Like if something hurts, I'm like, I'm not going to the doctor.
Right.
I don't want to know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just, for that next like week, 2 weeks, I just sat in my room in the dark. I remember like 2 days after I'd gotten home, my parents had called me downstairs and they were like, so we need to figure out what we're going to do. And I was like, okay. And they were like, do you want to go back and cheer there? And I was like, no. They have completely broken my trust. I do not like trust them to take care of me if something were to ever happen again. I was like, I don't want to go back and cheer there. Like, I don't feel safe cheering there, especially the way after they handled that whole situation. Like, I was like, no. Because if it was just the basket that I hit my head, I'd be like, yes, I'm fine to go back. You know, it wasn't, accidents happen. I understand the risk of cheer. I've done it for years. My parents understand the risk of cheer. It was the complete negligence of them not explaining how to do a basket and just the way that they handled the situation afterwards that like really made me go, no, I do not want to go back. My dad sent them an email and said, Jayda will no longer be attending UCF. She is no longer on the team. Please remove her from the roster and withdraw her from the school immediately. And he was like, do not contact her. Like, if you need to speak to someone, you will contact me directly. Mm-hmm. So he sent that. No one ever responded. 2 weeks later, I guess we got in contact with a lawyer. The lawyer actually was on a cheer team up north. I forget which one it was. And she judges worlds. So she knows cheer, and she's a lawyer.
Before we get into this, just for a second, I just want to stay in this for just a moment.
Okay.
Like, you worked your entire life to get to this program, and they invested so much energy into you since you were 14 years old. Yeah. So to just be a part, and knowing that your parents have been in the cheer world, you are familiar with how coaches should act, take care of situations. What was that like for you to just be a part of a coaching staff that tried to minimize what happened to you?
Like I said, it felt like I was just a number on their roster. Like, it did not feel like I was their athlete. I don't know. It just felt like they were like, oh, there's another one that got hurt. Just brush it off, leave it alone.
Why do you think they tried to minimize it?
They don't want to be held liable, I guess. I don't know. There's so many things that they could have gotten in trouble for if it got out. And so they just try to brush it under the rug. They didn't want to be accountable for it. They didn't want people knowing about it. So they did everything they could to keep it under.
So they were keeping it under even like from your parents?
Oh, yeah. Which I don't understand that because it's like the health of an athlete.
Right.
But yeah, they really tried to like minimize it from the world.
So was that like alarming to your parents at all? Just like that there was no transparency there? Yeah, because my parents, like, owning a cheer gym, kids are going to get hurt. Even if you're doing everything right, a kid's going to get hurt. And my parents' number one thing was like, one of us is going to call the parents immediately. The other one is going to aid to the athlete. Like, it was always you let the parents know and then you aid to the athlete. There's been so many times that my parents have driven athletes to the hospital because their parents couldn't get there right away. Like, it's part of it. Like, you have to do that for the athlete's sake. And in this situation, it was like they wanted to walk away from it and not have anything to do with it. So in your opinion and in your own words, how do you think UCF coaching staff handled this situation? Awful. Like, I can't even explain, me telling the story, like, it seems fake. Even when I'm telling the story, I'm like, yeah, there's no way this happened. No way somebody would go to these extents. But it really is, like, fake. That's the only word that I can use to describe it. Because sometimes even I don't believe all this happened. Wow. I mean, that's tough. I mean, like, just to, like, feel like knowing, like, growing up in a family-oriented gym and knowing what cheerleading is, you get to this, you would expect the cheer coaches to almost care for you, like, as if you were their own. You know, like, if this was your own child in this situation. Because that's how every other gym I've been a part of, every other coach I've had, it was very different. And did you feel that same way when you were, like, in the room with the trainer, with your friend, with these three coaches? Like, What was the energy they were giving off? What did you feel? Did you feel safe? Did you feel like anybody was in your best interest in that moment? I know your memory's light.
I'm not going to lie. I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. I can remember like bits and pieces of like a word or a sentence. I don't remember much.
And before we get into this next stage of, getting a lawyer and taking legal action, why is it that you want to sit here and tell this story?
Because they tried everything to brush it under the rug, and everything that had followed after. The way that they handled the legal side of it, the doctor's statements, everything. Like we were getting, this UCF doctor's statements back to the house. And it said I was doing an aerial, which is a cartwheel with no hands, and I slipped on the mat. And I have proof of that. Like we have it. I remember my mom read it, and she called me downstairs. She was like, "Did you see this?" I'm reading it. I'm like, "What?" So
they actually messed with the documents.
Yes. And then we started getting bills from our insurance. And if something happens on campus property, the university legally has to, be responsible for it. And I remember I didn't take my insurance card out once, but they took it out of my wallet when they got my ID, because we started getting the insurance bills for it. We got those bills like a few weeks later. My parents were like, "Wait a second, did you give them this?" And I was like, "No."
Wow.
Yeah.
So why else do you want to
I mean, like, legally, the case kind of hit a wall. And I feel like UCF is such a big university and so many people look up to it. But there is so much darkness in that program that doesn't get brought out, that people don't know about. And so being able to, like, talk about it publicly, share the story, like, I want people to know how Brian, Madison, Ashley, and Linda really are. Because it's like, it's not real, it's fake. That's the only word that I can use to describe it. It's like, it does not seem
authentic.
Yeah.
Genuine.
For sure.
So let's carry with the next part of you getting legal action.
So originally we were just going to sue for the negligence and the way that the coaches handled things. Before I jump back into more of that story, my accident was June 20th. I moved to Miami first week of August. So it was super quick. And when I got down here, I started noticing like all these weird symptoms. And I was like, this is like, I don't feel like myself. Like I was sleeping like 15 to 17 hours a day. I was constantly like, I would go to the grocery store, I'd come back and I would take a 4-hour nap. Like I was constantly tired. And I was never like a kid that slept a lot. And then my hair started to fall out. Like I used to have really long hair and then my hair started to fall out. Mm-hmm. So that, and then like my muscles always felt so sore. Like I was always in so much pain. I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like, I don't understand why I'm feeling like this. And then, so I just kept having all these weird symptoms. And then we were like, something's going on. Like something's weird. Because I was always really nauseous. Like I felt like I could never eat something without feeling like disgusted afterwards. Like I would always feel like I was going to throw something up. And then, so we got in touch with the neurologist and he said that I had a chemical imbalance in my brain and that controls everything. Mm-hmm. So it made everything just go crazy. Everything was weird. And he was like, yeah, the brain's confused. It's got a chemical imbalance. It's just doing what it thinks it should do, but it's not supposed to be. So after getting in touch with him, we decided to up the price on the demand because it wasn't just about that day anymore. It was everything after. So then I was put on a whole bunch of medications. I was put on a stimulant to keep me awake, to keep me like moving. And then they put me on antidepressants because depression clinically is a chemical imbalance in the brain. And so that's what I had, the chemical imbalance in my brain. Even though I didn't have depression, they used that medication to try
to counteract your brain. Yeah.
And so,
I
know. So he had told me, he was like, it's either going to go two ways. Yeah. He goes, it's going to work and it's going to be great, or it's going to go downhill really fast.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
this is the doctor talking.
This is my neurologist.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, it can do the opposite.
So you were taking up to like 3 to 5 medications.
Oh, absolutely. And he was like, I want you to know, like, this can do the opposite. And if you start to have any sort of thought, if anything starts to get like dark, call me and stop medication. I was like, okay. And then, so like I was on it for like a month, I'd say. And then I started getting those thoughts. I was like, okay, this is not me. Like, my family's never had issues with mental illnesses. I've never had anything like that. So I'm like, this is not me. I got in touch with the neurologist again, and I was like, this is happening. And he was like, okay, stop the medication. He was like, we need to get off of it immediately. So I stopped it, and I started passing out because my body went through withdrawals.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm calling him, and I'm like, I'm passing out. Like, I was passing out down the steps. Like, it was like crazy things. I was passing out at practices. I was like, what do I do? And he was like, we need to get back on the medication. He goes, we have to slowly wean you off then. He goes, we can't hard stop it because your body's going through withdrawals. And so got back on the medication, and then all the dark thoughts started getting really bad. And like, they got scary because that's not me.
And this is all after what happened to you.
This is in November.
Wow. So you were dealing with the symptoms of what happened on July 20th.
June 20th. Yeah.
All the way through, this is now November.
Yes.
And you're going through doctor's visits, medications, dark thoughts.
Yeah.
Like chemical imbalances in your brain.
It was insane. And yeah, for it to be in November, like months later. So anyways, all of that, mentally it was hard because there was days that I was like, I don't feel like myself. And like one of the nights got extremely hard. Gosh. Yeah, that's like the first time that anybody's like heard that story besides Max, my parents. Finally got off that medication, and we were like, we will never do that again. Like, we will never get back onto that medication. I'm still, to this day, on the stimulants because without them, I would literally just go to sleep. And then, so still on the stimulants, and then I keep having headaches. It's like, I cannot explain, like, these symptoms are just so strange. The headache part makes sense, but I'm on like a headache preventative, so I take it every night before I go to bed. And then, yeah, it's what I'm on now. So we don't know if it's like life lasting or, because my neurologist was like, I've had patients for 3 months and I've had patients for 10 years. He was like, it's
already been a year. You are now still till this day just in and out of doctor appointments, in and out of medications. Mm-hmm. You have to take medication till this day, headache preventatives, all due to a cheer injury of something that you've been training and doing your entire life. Like, this isn't something that you're not trained to do.
Yeah, it was a straight ride basket too. Forgot to add that
the
in.
Most basic.
It wasn't even like a backflip and it wasn't anything crazy. It was a straight ride basket.
Now we can move into if you would like, to the legal action and what steps you took.
So yeah, we got in contact with the lawyer. My dad knew her from a friend through a friend. And we got in contact with her, and it was nice because like she knew cheer. It wasn't like we were having to explain it to somebody and then be like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense,
mm-hmm.
you know? So it was nice that she knew cheer, and, you know, getting to talk with her and what we should do going forward. She basically had told the coaches, like, hey, I don't know if she wants me to say her name. I'm this person. I'm representing Jayda Redden. Please do not contact her. And she had asked, please keep the CCTV footage from that day. Please, like, keep it aside, store it. And so I have, you know, in writing that UCF has the video stored from that day. And so we were like,
we watched it.
They won't give it to us.
They won't give it to you.
So that was like the whole, everything through my lawyer. You know, we were like asking, like, we want this for the demand, like this amount of money. This is what happened. You saw the letter that my mom sent, and we sent that over, and they were like, no, we're not going to do that. But I know. And then they're like, well, Jayda signed a waiver.
It was the waiver when you were literally on contact.
I don't know if it was that. Because looking at the waiver, cheerleading is spelled wrong. Cheerleading is spelled wrong, and I'm looking at my signature, and I'm like,
that's not mine.
Yeah.
So can they compare it to?
I don't know, because it's like, my thing, like, I don't remember signing the waiver. If it was that morning that we did, if it was the day before, I don't remember signing it, and I don't know if that's because I didn't sign it or if that's because my brain just doesn't remember. Why would I ever misspell cheerleading?
But what if you signed that when you were that paper?
I know.
And they just did that immediately to cover themselves because they knew.
I know. That's like, there's so many holes in the story that I don't know. But they had basically, UCF sent back my waiver and was like, look, Jayda, sign this. But honestly, I want to see the video. That's what I want. I just want the video more than anything because
you want to feel validated.
Right.
Like the truth is told.
I want to see it. I want to share it because I was out for 5 seconds. That's a lie. The video shows that proof. I was doing a basket, not an aerial on the floor. It shows that proof. Like, I just want that video more than anything. And so, like, I have email confirmation that they have CCTV footage stored from that day.
So they just won't release this video.
Mm-mm.
What were the discrepancies that they had in the doctor's note, in the letters, everything? Where are the holes that just don't line up?
The fact that they had said I was out for 3 to 5 seconds, but I woke up and the paramedics got there. Like, the paramedic can get there in 3 seconds.
And there's witnesses.
Right.
Of a whole cheer team.
Right. But they are on a gag order of, like, they can't speak to me. They can't talk.
Hold on. The team?
I guess when I left after that happened, the coaches had told the team, like, let it go. Don't speak to her. Leave it alone. And also my lawyer was like, don't contact anyone from the team, just to keep things separate.
So not only did you just get written off by this program
mm-hmm.
and these coaches,
mm-hmm.
but the ones that were supposed to call you a teammate.
Right. Well, my lawyer contacted a few of the people that were there and was like, can you testify? Can you, explain your own story, what happened that day? And every single one of them was like, lose my number. Please don't talk to me.
Because they want a good spot.
And don't want the repercussions by Linda Gooch.
So let's talk about it.
She can look at any one of those kids in the eyes and go, if you talk to Jayda, if you tell the story, you're off this team. And they would do anything to, listen to her. She holds like so much power and abuses that power, for sure. The things that I've heard about her through other people, it just makes me realize even more and more that my story isn't the only one that has been covered up like this. Every person I tell this story to, like, even if when people are like, oh, what happened? I'm like, oh, it's a long story.
Right.
But it's like you can't explain just part of the story because it all at the end just ties back together.
Through you and your experience
mm-hmm.
and what you went through with this, just the love of cheer and
mm-hmm.
knowing what you know about cheer, stepping into all this, what is it that you want others to know? Trust
your gut instinct, for sure. Because I knew something was going on from the beginning, right at tryouts. I kind of had a feeling. And at that point, it's too late. And I was like, it's fine, go with it. And then, don't go to that school. I
want to just make sure I amplify your voice
mm-hmm.
as much as you want to tell this story. So just what else do you feel in that situation, and what else do you want to share regarding it?
Literally so much. It's an emotional story, but it's like I want people to see the wrongs that these coaches did. And I want them, if I can't get the money, if I can't get the video, I want people to know, and I want the coaches to be held accountable for everything they did in that situation. And to thank Patrick O'Donnell, because without him, I honestly don't know. And I've been told that he's not even the trainer for cheer there anymore.
So if you could look at these coaches and tell them what you want them to be held accountable for, what would you tell? What would you say?
I don't even know what I would say to them. But I think if I got in front of them, I would just cry if I saw them. That's my goal, to hopefully never see them again. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I want them to know everything they did wrong.
What is it that they did wrong?
Oh God, everything.
Right.
Everything. The negligence, the not letting me go to the hospital, the lies to my parents, trying to cover it up, the bases how to catch, any of that. Like, there was no instruction prior to it. The fact that they blamed me for, they told the flyers, and this is why you catch your bases on the way down. Sorry, you didn't tell us that. The fact that they're just able to sweep it all underneath the rug. The fact that they can just like have people look past it. They can just like wave magic wand and everything disappears. It's the way that so many people will look up to these coaches and look up to this program like I did and not see the dark side of it. But like everything after it, I mean, if it didn't, I literally got a tattoo that says everything happens for a reason. Because without that happening, I would not be down here in Miami cheering at Top Gun, being on 00, winning a second Worlds. Like, I would not have been able to do that if this didn't happen.
Wrapping it all up from the beginning to now. Just take me through just how you feel about the fact that it wasn't what you expected for you personally and your journey and your cheer journey.
It felt like a trick. Like, honestly, it's like the only word I can use to explain it. Like, it was a trick to build me up, and all of the comments on all my Instagram posts, my stories, my tumbling videos, my stunning videos, them constantly texting me like, hey, did you apply yet? Did you get in yet? Did you get your acceptance yet? We're so excited to have you. And then I get there and it was like, I'm sorry, what's your name again? You've known me for the last 4 years, you know? It was a trick. And I've heard that from many people.